Welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Hey everyone, welcome to Big Blend Radio. You know, we always love to have our second Tuesday Vacation Station Food, Wine, and Travel Show with IFWTWA. IFWTWA is the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. They're an amazing organization that puts destinations, travel writers, travel authors, food, wine, travel writers, photographers, all together so that we all get the best stories and we know where to stay and play. And today we're going to stay and play in Whidbey and Camano Islands. We're going to bring back Sherrye Wyatt. Sherrye Wyatt is with Whidbey and Camano Islands Tourism. They're having a name change. There's scandal going on over there. Good stuff, not bad scandal. But I encourage you to go to their website, Whidbey-Camano-Islands.com. And for years I said Camano, but I think I got it right after all these years, Sherrye. Have I got it? And welcome back.
Thank you so much. And yes, you have it right. It's great to see you.
It takes a while
here. Yeah.
I think you have to go there to get it. You see, that's the thing. That's a difference. You've been on the shows educating us, but actually going really helps you actually embrace, the Camano spirit.
It does, absolutely. You get right into island time.
I love it. It's so funny because, I talk to people going to Washington State and they're like, I'm like, you need to go here. You need to go Whidbey, Camano, and Anacortes. You need to go to all these. And they're like, there's diehards who know about your area and then they don't want to tell anybody about it. It's these hidden gems. Like we talk about hidden gems. I know that's an overused term, but Doug, I don't want people to go kayak where the orcas are. Like that's mine, like not theirs. And then you get the people who are like, I didn't know that existed. Like it's not like the typical island kind of vibe, but it's island. It's a whole different scenario and your area is just precious. It really is. So tell everybody where Whidbey is, how accessible it is. Nancy and I got there. We managed to make it very easily. And
so
Camano.
we like to say, we're easy to get to, but hard to forget.
There you go.
So you'll just travel. We say we're the shortest distance to far away because you'll just travel only 30 miles north of Seattle to catch a ferry onto Whidbey-Island, or additional 20 miles would take you up to the entrance to Camano-Island, which you actually drive across kind of a land bridge.
Very cool.
It's easy to get to. We're really close, not that far away at all from SeaTac Airport. And then there's another way to get onto the island on Whidbey, which is Deception Pass Bridge, which is actually part of the most visited state park in Washington State.
I did that bridge.
Yeah. And
I went on that bridge.
There's one more way too to get onto Whidbey-Island. There's another ferry route that connects us to the Olympic Peninsula. So there's several different ways to get on both islands.
So the people coming out to the islands, are they mostly people from Seattle? Or are you getting international folks coming over? Are people that just really want to go chill out in nature?
We've looked at our data and it's a big combination of places. Of course, Seattle knows us. Many people come here from there. That's just a given. But the international, because there's so many direct flights now to Sea Airport that it's so much easier to get here from overseas. And also people from all over our state and, people in kind of warmer climates, maybe want to get away from the heat or the fires where there's fires and smoke. So we have kind of a nice year-round climate, very mild year-round, and that's a real attraction for people from all over the country.
And the beauty. How big are the islands when people think about you can't walk from one side to, you could, depending on who you
it's only about 50 miles long. That's actually pretty long for an island. So is pretty long, but it's not that wide. And Camano-Island is only about 16 miles long. I think it's 16 by 9 miles. So it's a smaller island, but either one, I think you can get around definitely by cycling or by your own car. Or now, good news is that our free bus service is available on Sundays as well. They've just expanded that, so we have free bus service every day of the week.
Oh wow! Wow, it's to go where you want on the island. That is cool.
Yeah,
but isn't that also?
Yeah.
But you could do it anyway, right? During the week, or is it,
Yeah. Oh,
even
yeah.
if you pay? Yeah. So that's a way I mean, to have public transportation is a big deal.
It's free all the time, every day. It's always free. So
Oh,
it's a service that our county provides to our visitors and residents.
oh,
Yeah.
wow. And that is really good for the island in sustainability, isn't it?
Very, very much so. And you can't promote things and then not really follow through. So when we didn't
Mhm.
have a Sunday service, we just had, Monday through Saturday. That was tougher to encourage visitors to leave their cars. But now it's very doable. And there's also a shuttle that runs right up to Whidbey Island from the airport. So you don't even need to get a rental car. If you wanted to get around Whidbey Island, it could be done.
That is cool to know. I didn't know all this stuff. Yeah. So the one thing too, I mean, we've talked about it before on the show, transformational travel, regenerative travel, all these big words that we've talked about this, but it really is when you're on islands, we need to really protect them.
Yeah.
When we think about environmental, like if you go hiking, please, don't leave your trash. You're going to take it out with you. Whatever you eat, the sandwich wrapper needs to go home or go back to your hotel. Whatever you're doing, you've got to take these places seriously in regards to they are pristine, and this is
Right.
how you're doing it. And I think that's, for all of us going, and for your residents, obviously they know that. But you want it to be, you want that paradise,
Well, it's interesting that you say the residents know, because I think, and I'm finding in our outreach as we talk to communities and stakeholders, and that, we can't ask our visitors to do things that we won't do ourselves. So it really starts at home with us and our own actions. And, regenerative travel isn't anti-growth. It's just really about growing the things that matter,
Mhm.
and never in ways that will affect or hurt anyone in a negative way. So it's kind of an interesting way of thinking. I mean, it puts residents first in some ways, but also it's about creating better experiences for visitors.
I agree. I agree. Well, you want the pristine beach, you want the pristine hiking trail without trash, and you want
Yeah.
to protect the wildlife. We don't want to see turtles or tortoises with, plastic around them. We don't want any of that stuff, right? We don't want to see whales that don't have barnacles, they have plastic on the side of them. We don't want that. I mean, I don't think that, well, it probably could, there's all
No,
kinds of weird things we see what happens to wildlife through our
yeah. Oh,
actions.
and there are so many people passionate about our wildlife here. In fact, you may have even heard that about the Orca Network, which is super popular network of people that after you leave the island, many people just join it because you can track where all the whales are all the time.
Oh,
And
wow.
they've been passionately working to bring one of the whales back here from the Miami, Florida. And there's an aquarium there, a sea aquarium, where she was captured from here about 50 years ago. And she's going to be released. I don't know if you've heard about this at all, but it tells you what people are like around here. They
Mhm.
don't quit on our animals, and we care about nature. And so
How did she got captured?
yeah, there was a big roundup here on Whidbey Island in Penn Cove, about 1970, I think it was, and over 50 whales were captured and taken away. They were stolen. It's a tragic moment. It's a very dark day in our history
Yeah.
here, and they were taken to sea worlds and aquariums, all over the world. And they have long memories and they have long lives, and their families remember each other. I mean, it was
Mm.
quite a tragic day. There were parents, separated from their babies. And
Yeah.
it was, it's one of those dark stories, but we have to remember about who we are, where we came from too. We have to look
Mhm.
back at our history to learn from it. So
We,
anyway, she comes home.
yeah.
Her name is Lolita.
Oh, that is awesome. And, because we've done gazillions of shows about this kind of thing. And, like, yes, Swaziland. We lived in South Africa for many years, as you probably know. And Swaziland decided at this point that they're selling elephants to zoos in this country.
Mhm.
And they flew elephant. Oh, instead of letting them go to, oh, we're overrun with elephants, which is not true. Instead of letting them go to a neighboring country or something like that, no, we're putting them in zoos, and zoos purchase them in this country. And they flew these elephants out of their regular natural habitat and did that. And so we're still doing this. I mean, this was maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Oh dear. Yeah.
So we are still, so this happens a lot.
Yeah.
And it's something, and I'm seeing now a lot of aquariums and zoos are starting to become more rescue places, which I think is really great. We covered one in Texas, which is like we're wildlife rescue, and it is about climate change. It's about what is happening. Like now they're getting manatees from Florida because Florida is not able to, the manatees aren't getting enough food. So the manatees are moving there.
So they're
So
relocating.
there's all of, so talking about this conservation part, I think that's an interesting thing about people coming to the island being involved. That is part of regenerative tourism as we talk about it. So as travelers, we need to be aware of that, that we can be part of this place that we fall in love with. We want to support that and the wildlife and orcas. I mean, like they're like the elephants of the sea.
Oh, they are amazing. And we're learning how smart they really are and intelligent. And this is a reverse situation where we're bringing the whale back to home. And there's
that's
a
so
great
nice
plan in place. There's very touching songs about it. Bring Lolita home. And, she's part of the Lummi tribe. So there's a lot of sacredness about this. And it's a very big deal and it's exciting. And I want to follow up with what you're saying about how visitors might be more involved in the community, because I have some people coming this weekend that are visiting, and they've pre-ordered from a food hub here on the island, put together by all these farmers locally. And they pre-ordered all these foods and eggs and items to take to their short-term rental that they're going to pick up at the farm on their way. So it's kind of neat that we have these ways that you can, shop locally when you arrive, but you can actually pre-order it. So you don't have to like hassle with that, trying to, schedule everything. There's pickup places all over the island. So
there's island times, but you guys are with it.
Yeah, we're with it. I mean, that's kind of high tech. You go online and you build a profile for free, and then you pick and choose all the things you want.
But you're supporting farmers too. And you guys, your tulip festival just happened?
Yeah, so that was in Skagit County, just north of us.
Oh,
It's still going
okay.
on. I mean, the tulips were a little bit late this year because of rain, and so it's still quite beautiful. And
Oh, wow.
it's a beautiful part of our state any time of the year. Skagit County is a remarkable farmland.
So with Whidbey and Camano, when we were out there, we noticed like, I wanted to say biodiversity of farms, right? Because I get into this. I think it's so cool when you don't have like one big monocrop that takes out all the other crops, and you want to keep the soil happy and clean and full of worms and all that good stuff. And when we were in your area, it seemed very diverse in agriculture. I don't even want to use it, these farms, small farms, and then there's wineries, and then there's breweries, and there's it's just like really taking things to like pure value and pureness. And so when you go there, it's like you're gonna have a good time. But like when you're talking about eggs, they're not being shipped in for I mean, you can get all that, but you can really be part of the island by supporting the farmer, like you were talking about. If you're going to a short-term rental and you want flowers, go get it from a local flower farm, because I know you have that too, right?
And there's these little honor stands that we call them, and they're all over the island, where there's a little jar and you put the money in and take the flowers or take the eggs, and those are still, it's very sweet. It feels like a throwback to many, many years ago, but it's just how we live. It's why people, I think, are drawn to come here.
I think it's cool for kids to see this kind of thing too and experience this. Are the islands set up for families coming out and staying? Because you're talking about vacation rentals, but like it seems like, I know that there's some state parks that have some camping options and things like that too, right?
Oh yeah, there's 9 state parks between the 2 islands. They're amazing, and several of them have cabins. They fill up quickly in the peak summer months. A good time to come is fall and winter or spring. To get those cabins that are right on the water. They're very affordable, very family friendly, but also a lot of short-term rentals are super great for, they're pet friendly as well. And you can just really even do your virtual working from here. A lot of people are doing that.
So what about hotel wise, and the lodgings? I know you've got inns. When we were driving around, we were seeing like seaside. There's something about staying. I do like to stay on the seaside.
Yeah, and I will say this about the seaside inns, just just to check ahead, but some of them are maybe not for children. You know, they're more romantic.
Yeah.
There's just a certain clientele. I mean, they
Yeah,
may be
yeah.
pet friendly, but not children friendly. I know that seems ironic, and in some cases they're both. But I think it's better to check ahead and find
Yeah.
out.
Well, the romantic escape. I mean, if you're coming from Seattle, that's got to be like a nice, quick, hey, I want to go for a romantic getaway with, my spouse or my loved one. And, I mean, really a walk in the park. You want to do that.
Yeah, couples massage and wine
Ah,
tasting and a nice dinner. Yeah, this is a great place for a getaway romantically, but also, I mean, I definitely would say family friendly, and we just love dogs here. So there's no,
I know you love
we
dogs.
have
We love dogs.
off-leash dog parks and beaches, and they're well maintained because people who come here and visit, they are respectful too. You pick up after your dog, and you know,
Every
thank you.
park we went to, there were dogs, and everybody was conscious about how their dogs were. And it's like, oh, if your dog doesn't get along with other dogs, they would, walk, the dog etiquette, right?
We know each other by their dogs and not by each other's owners sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And we give each other's dog names, new names, it's like, oh, that one, that's
Yeah, yeah.
Fluff Bucket.
Wild
I don't know
child.
how the word bucket gets into Fluff Bucket, but it does.
That's adorable. Yeah.
you know, but I love that it is pet friendly because dogs also need to be outside just like we do.
Yeah.
And,
That's true.
dogs want their walks, they want their sniffs, they want, to be out and about. And it does take a community to make it actually work.
Well, and another thing that people might want to do is something like foraging for mushrooms. And there's farms and basically outfitters, that are doing that. There's kayaking, of course, there's whale
I
watching
want to do that.
trips. There's lots of different ways to get into nature with a guide, which sometimes can make a better experience. Just because you'll learn a lot more sometimes that
Well,
way.
because you're in such a like you've got endemic species and you've got such a different landscape, waterscape than other areas, unless you're really familiar over time. When you go out, like you've got tide pools in some areas not. Some are really windy and you can go windsurfing. I haven't seen windsurfing like that since I was in South
Oh,
Africa. I
yeah, we
mean,
have it
that was
here.
cool.
Yeah,
Yes, you do.
like
I was like,
kite
everybody
surfing.
was out. I'm like, this is so cool.
Yeah,
Nancy and I sat and watched them for like half an hour, just like, look at them go. And then
I
we were
know.
placing bets on people. But, and sorry, I don't know if gambling's legal there, but we did it in our own space. But I think that's the thing is if you can get a guide to take you out on a hike. I don't know if you have hiking guides. I know you have
Well,
kayaking guides.
yeah, they're one of the kayaking companies actually now does a tide pool option. You can do the walk on the beach instead of the kayaking. For not everybody wants to be out on the water, or maybe you've done that. This is a way to actually walk the beach with guides, and I think this is just
Because
fantastic.
there's so many
Education.
interesting things that wash up, and then the tide pools are their own little world, man. They're cool. And for kids, and then like
Mhm.
you're saying, like not everybody wants to get out in the water, everybody's different. So I think that is cool that they're doing that, but I do want to kayak, and how many photos come out with people kayaking with orcas too? Is
Oh,
there
yeah.
like,
Isn't that
have you done it?
spectacular? I didn't see whales when I was kayaking, but I've seen them from the shore, and I saw
Yeah.
other kayakers that were not too far away from that. So that was pretty exciting. Another thing you can do is
Uh-huh.
go on a canopy tour through a forest at an old farm. It's a historic farm on Camano Island called Christopherson Farm.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, and you can zip line basically through forests, and there's the guides have interpretive panels at each of the platforms before you zip. So there's 4 lines, and each time you're going, you learn a little bit more about what you're looking at, about the preservation of that forest, and then you get to zip. It's kind
Well,
of
I
fun.
love that you talk about it being canopy, so people understand the importance of canopies. And don't they do coffee too? Because that kind of connects with.
Oh gosh, yeah. We have great coffee roasters all over both islands, but Camano Island coffee roasters are fantastic, and they actually work with estate farms overseas to help them become owners of their farms. So these
Oh, that is so cool.
he's taken it a full step further, where it's a faith-based organization they work with to help them build schools and have water, and not not just be transactional, but be transformational. So those
You were going back to those words, regenerative,
getting back,
transformational.
yeah.
So speaking of that, are there ways for people to do volunteer projects when they come to the island? Because to me, there's something cool about going out and maybe help take out invasive species so you can
Right.
learn, because, you know, there's the guided trips, which are very, very cool. But volunteering, sometimes you really get to be a local more through volunteer work.
Yeah, so we're in the process of working with local nonprofits who already have the opportunities created and know how to work directly with volunteers to make it a good experience. So our tourism group ourselves are not creating these things. We're just finding them and putting them all together. So you can find them on our website. Soundwater Stewards, Whidbey Camano Land Trust. These are some of the organizations that have set up really great experiences where they get the work done. The Gary Oak Society, you go out and you plant Gary Oak trees. And also
I want to do that.
they go back to baby oak trees and tend them. And they actually can assign someone a tree so you can return to your tree every year and take care of it. And it's kind of an exciting way to connect to an island and have a little more of a relationship with us than just like I said, transactional,
Well,
okay,
but this is
it's
so
here,
important because we talk about, like, okay, the elephants, the orcas, right? So these are really big species that everybody's like, oh, they're so cool, right? And then you hear about species like, oh, this species is in trouble and maybe we
right.
don't want to develop this land. Oh, but it's only a type of rabbit, or oh, it's only this kind of animal. It's small, and who cares about it? I care about them. But when you go and you work on maybe the habitat or any kind of volunteering like that, when you talk about the oaks and you start to learn about the oak tree and you go, oh, wow, well, this species won't survive because if this oak tree isn't there, this won't survive. And then if this doesn't survive, you understand the web of life
Right.
for a region by doing these things just through one species will lead you to the web. It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But you understand, it's cool.
Yeah, well, and some people might want to help with building a house through Habitat for Humanity or Hearts and Hammers Weekend. So
cool.
there's things all year round, and we're just in the process of really going into community to find them and let them know that, did you ever realize or think about how the fact visitors might want to be part of this force for good, and not just the residents, but people coming might want to pack their work gloves and have some experiences too, just beyond being entertain me. We all sometimes we show up at places and say, take care of me and entertain me. I'm here now. I'm here spending money. But it's just not, I don't think that's the way of the world so much anymore.
I think you have a day of that and then a day of this. It's like, I think sometimes you're going to go, hey, let me go for a hike. Oh, there's an event that I think the events really help too. Is that something that's back thriving? I know by the time this airs, we'll be in the thrust of actually going weekly with our new weekly blend magazine because we're crazy, but it's because tourism is back, but events are back and everybody wants to know everything now. And we're like, all right, we're coming.
Yeah. But
so how's it on the islands?
Well, they're definitely back, and they're deeper and richer and more meaningful.
Yeah.
So
that's what we're finding. Yeah.
The Pin Cove Water Festival is, bringing in a number of different tribes with canoe races, and that's coming up in May. And we've just now, learned and finally discovered all of the new things that we didn't study or share about our islands before the Europeans arrived. So we're telling more of the stories of the people who were here before us. And I think that's more meaningful for visitors too. And we're actually part of something, I think, with national parks. You might already be aware of this, but the National Maritime Heritage Area that we've just been designated as. So it's 3,000 miles of saltwater coastline. And we're the only maritime national designation in these national heritages. So there's 39, well, there's 49 in the United States of these areas. So we have 18 federally recognized tribes, 13 counties, 32 cities, and it's pretty exciting how that's how we're going to embrace that.
The heritage areas are huge. In fact, we've done a number of shows
Okay,
on them. Because
here
And
we are
what
now.
is,
We're one.
yeah, this is, yeah, we should do one just on that.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. But
Okay, we'll
also,
do that.
it just was last night speaking with a lot of artists who are more excited than ever about bringing people into their studios and also getting out of their studios and doing more tours and, kind of connecting more with people instead of, because we were all, sitting inside our little places hiding, and it's time now to open the doors and bring people into
We still have to
studios.
be careful. There is still
Yeah,
that element of being careful. Like, I'm sorry, if I
sure.
go to grocery store, I still wear a mask because I'm like, dude, I don't know who you are. But you know, I mean, everybody's different. Some people don't. And
Masks are optional. I see them every day.
every,
And
yeah,
there's no
everybody's got
judgment.
their own, it's
Yeah.
up to everybody's own thing.
Mhm.
But this going back together and working together in these events that you're saying so meaningful, like the arts, the heritage areas really do it, because heritage areas tell the story of the people and connect it with the land.
Right.
It's a very, and when you're talking about all these agencies coming together, it is so different. It's not just National Park Service. I know your state parks are probably part of it too.
Oh, yes.
Everyone's
The
together,
marinas, the
and
towns.
these
Yeah.
events come out, when you say about more meaningful, it's so cool to learn about, you're walking on a piece of land that ancient indigenous people walked on. And what are we doing to this land? What's the value? And then when you have events where people can interconnect and relate and share stories, you start to understand. And I know, the indigenous people are really good at storytelling. And it just, being in person, I know musicians right now are super happy because they get to have that music out there and have the energy from the audience. But
Right.
it's the same thing in sharing history. Reading a textbook ain't, but getting out there and walking in places where people were and did certain things, certain parts of history, and you have the English camp and the French camp, and you have all of that going on, So, EB's Reserve, that's a whole other
Oh,
very,
yeah. The
that's a
National
whole
Historical
other,
Reserve.
that's a very
Exactly.
historic place, unique management too, when we talk about that. But when you go out to those areas and you can connect with people and it's generational, then you just,
Yeah.
it's huge.
I want to jump on that generational word because I think something visitors will find that's new is how the younger generations are coming up in through the farming communities and the tavern owners, the restaurant owners, so many of these really clever businesses that are younger owners, and it's fun, it's exciting, and it's great to see the next generation coming up and the new people coming up. So there, for example, there's a little place down in Clinton that it's called Skeen and Tipple, and in the front is a little yarn shop that the
Wow.
female owner of the business, the wife, has. And then if you go through that into the back, you find the bar that is making it's
See-
mixologist and live music, and that's the husband, the male of the couple, and that is
See,
running
I love this.
so exciting. And they're young and vibrant people. And the salty crab, I was just talking to the owner last night, and she's young, and there's a new meadery, and they're really young. And it's just, I think it's great.
It's exciting. We were in a small town in Colorado, and there's a brewery that just had moved in, but the barber shop was part of the brewery. So
There
you
you
could
go.
literally sit and get your hair done and have a beer. And I'm thinking, like, that kind of thing is it's kind of tossing some of these old rules that, why did we have to have those rules in the first place? There's rules that we need to do for protection of wildlife and stuff, but then
Sure.
these are the things we're allowed to break.
And it's almost going back to the way things were before, where you had a
It's
general
true.
store, and it was also the place, where people gathered, and it was a coffee shop. And so I think maybe we're just going full circle.
Oh, it's exciting.
Yeah.
So
it
I
is.
know you've been on the show over the last few years talking about transformational travel,
Yes.
regenerative travel. So I know that I know we're doing new things too. You guys have like some big news too. So spill
Oh,
away.
yeah, I did
That's a
want to
good
share.
spill. That's a good spill.
It's
when
a
you
good
come
spill.
from that.
So through this 2-year conversation we've been having as a community, we have changed our name from Whidbey and Camano Islands Tourism to embrace Whidbey and Camano Islands.
Oh, I like it.
And our logo was always kind of a compass rose, And now it's a whale tail because the whales return every year and we want our visitors to. And it feels like, whales actually everywhere they go, they make the place better. They're one of these animals that are making, they're part
It's
of the whole
sentient
ecosystem of
beings.
the world, basically. So we're
Oh
excited
man,
about that. Whales are very symbolic and it's appropriate.
that's
So
amazing. I'm wondering, do they have more protection with you having a heritage area that's all part of the maritime part of
it,
it?
I imagine it is. Things are just becoming clear now to me what all the opportunities are going to be. And I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised at how much this brings people together in a new way. And it's important because it's connecting us with other communities all throughout the coastline that maybe we haven't seen all the common ground we have. And we have a center for wooden boats on Camano-Island at Camo Beach. And there's a center for wooden
Wow.
boats down in Seattle. And there's a heritage boat building place in Port Townsend. And like we could do a boat trail.
Well, but it's really true. Like that was something that really opened our eyes when we got over to your area.
Yeah,
Was like, why do people have these huge garages? What are they
Oh,
doing? They have boats in there. Like, so it's a whole different culture if you're, a land person, you're landlocked. Then all of a sudden you go in, it's like, oh, this is a whole different lifestyle. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And then you have seagulls that walk down your streets. So like,
We do.
seriously.
Yeah, they're noisy.
Oh, but we love them. We
We
love
love
the
that.
seagulls. We love that. I think that's one of the coolest things. And I want to go back to folks coming out because I know with
Yeah.
this season, everyone's going to get out on the trails.
Right.
I can imagine wildflowers are going to be popping out and probably are
Yeah,
popping out already with sunshine and
Oh my gosh.
happy.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's
Oh,
going to be this way for quite many months now. I think
oh,
it's all
I'm
green.
excited.
And we
That's
did
awesome.
actually just create a new trails guide. If you go to our website, that's 24 trails off the beaten path. And
Cool.
we are focusing, we have a video, a trailer, a 2-minute trailer, which is a little video of each trail, as well as a map. And there's even a printed guide that you can pick up at the visitor centers. It's trying to steer people off to areas maybe where they hadn't been before. And we also joined the Tread Map app. The Tread Map is something that you can download. It's
Oh,
free
cool.
and it's with State of Washington Tourism, and it has all of these trails in real time and says what's going on those trails right now. Like, is the parking lot really full? Maybe we'll go to a different trail, or is there a tree
Yeah.
down, or is there a fire? It's kind of exciting that technology is something we can harness to help us.
And that
guide
helps
people.
balance out for nature too. If the parking lot's full, like give nature
We
a
go to a
breather.
different one. Yeah.
Yeah, go spread out a little bit. But having that, and I know we talked about that before, because it's really cool to have these guides.
Mhm.
Can you give everybody some information on the state parks? Because I know that there was like a discovery pass that could get you in like all day or
Right.
something.
Yeah. So I think it's like $35. You buy the pass and it gets you a whole year of the state park.
Okay.
Or you can pay $10 a day and you can pay right on the spot. But it's sort of nice to get your pass ahead of time, or you can buy the 1-year pass at many of the state parks themselves. So they have a little kiosk, and it's great because it's access to all the parking lots, and they're open till dusk, and they're just really wonderful places to wander. And boy, we
Oh.
have some old forts in some of our parks, and plenty
The
of
driftwood, the
coastline.
driftwood.
Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh,
gosh, the
driftwood.
driftwood is incredible.
It really is.
And the trees. I mean, it's like if you come up from the desert, I know a lot of desert folk come up to your area and you see the green. I know what it's like, and it takes about 3 days and your jaw is still on the floor.
It's a little culture shock, isn't it?
But it's a good culture shock. It's
Yeah.
really cool. And just to have that history, and it's such an interesting connection when you talk about the indigenous people too, to kind of connect like, wow, who migrated where? Because they were nomadic too, and different
Yeah.
tribes went different places. So it kind of gets you even kind of into a little touch of Canadian history as well. There's French history, or, English history. I mean, there's history about pigs, runaway pigs. No, I'm kidding.
Alaska. Yeah. And what's interesting is this was a gathering place even then. So it's no surprise that it's a place that everyone's drawn to,
Yeah.
even now. And the whales even come back. I mean, it just feels like the
You got
tourism.
breweries. Oh, what about the
Oh,
food?
gosh.
Touch on the food.
Oh, I should talk on the food about the food because
Oh,
there's
we
so
can't
much
leave
fresh,
that out. Are you
fresh
kidding?
seafood. and farm to table. So many of the farms are now selling to local restaurants, and the chefs are incorporating local, what's in season. So it might not be that you get what you expected. It'll be what the farmers brought. So it'll be what's in season. And I think that's the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to eat from the land what the land offers. And it's,
Exactly.
sometimes it's nice to have something that hasn't flown 3,000 miles.
It's always better for the belly.
Been picked up right out of the Pin Cove mussels, or right out of Pin Cove, and you can sit in a restaurant on Pin Cove and know that they just came right from there. So
That's crazy, isn't it? It's cool.
Yeah.
It's how it was back in the day.
that's how it was, and that's how we're getting back to those old values, like I said. Yeah.
And artisans, I mean, you've got artisan chocolate makers and that kind
Yeah.
of thing too.
And there's so many, and they really, some of them, I don't know how they got through COVID, but they just did. They went online, they created websites, they worked through these food hubs so people could order from different
cool.
ways. But their artists are still here making cheeses and soaps and and harvesting salt and truffles, and everything is happening still in new ways. And like I said, I think it's a new, vibrant. We learned a lot, and maybe we're better for it. We're stronger, and we're coming out of COVID with new appreciation
That's awesome.
for each other. Yeah.
Oh, I think like last time we talked, I said, you're a beacon for other destinations to learn from, for people to know, and just everyone. It's 4 seasons on these islands. I know we talk about summer, but 4 seasons, and you can really experience some beauty out there. I encourage you to go to Whidbey-Camano-Islands.com. Also, we want to thank the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association. We have so much fun on these shows, learning about destinations and the transformation of these destinations. I had to bring that in. Everyone, you can go to IFWTWA.org to learn more. And also, if you are in the industry, the tourism industry, even if you're a winemaker or a cheesemaker or a destination or a writer, their conference is coming up in October. So you may want to check that out. It's open to members and non-members. Actually, one of the IFWTWA conferences, I think that's when we first met you, Sherrye, was in Whidbey a few years ago. I don't know how many years ago, but we're all younger now, so it doesn't matter.
I think it might have been 2018, 2019, somewhere in there right before. Yeah. It was great. 2018, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And so definitely check it out, everyone. But thank you so much for joining us. Keep up with us. We do this show every second Tuesday, and we have way more. We have every second Friday, third Friday, and third Monday, I think it is, that we do with IFWTWA. We're just rocking and rolling. There's a lot to do travel-wise. So it's exciting. So again, it's Embrace Whidbey and Camano Islands.
That's right. That's our new name.
So it's all starting now. Yeah.
And you can do it with a glass of wine. That's fine. You can embrace us that way.
Only if it's local. All right. Thanks so much, Sherrye.
Thank you.